Welcome to yet another Duel of the Debates. I'm Dan, Danny, and Miguel, and our guests will be here in just a second. But first, we got some quick housekeeping. So we're taking a little break from reviews here for the next month or so, and we're going to continue to work on Duel of the Debates and some of our theory videos for you all. So make sure to follow us on all socials at Seen It Beforecast on Instagram and Twitter, TikTok, and Twitter with the handle at SIB_pod. Anyway, let's get to what we have this week. So we're going to bring Danny and Miguel in here. So, Danny.
Hi, I'm Danny. Today we're going to be doing another Duel of the Debates episode. This is episode 4. The question today is most underrated Pixar movie.
So, yeah, we also got our guest. Actually, he's not our guest. He's our other host. Sorry, Miguel.
I am Miguel. I am also a fighter doing one of these awesome Duel of Debates. And my movie is Monsters, Inc.
And we have one of our frequent collaborators from the movie reviews, Chris. He is here, and you get to see his beautiful, shining face now. Chris, what are you doing for your movie?
For my movie, I am doing the 1998 Pixar classic, Bug's Life.
All right.
I didn't say my movie. My movie's Soul, if anyone wants to know.
That's right. You did not say your movie.
What year did Soul come out?
I don't know, 2020, I think.
All right, y'all. So here's the rules. So you get a minute and a half to have your opening arguments. Each of you, all three of you, get to have an opening argument. Then after that, we go to rebuttals for about 2 minutes. And then it's a free-for-all to figure out which of these animated movies is the most underrated Pixar animated movie. That was a weird way to say that, but you get the picture. So anyway, let's get into this. All right, everyone. So I think we're going to start with Danny this week. He's the one that got actually dethroned last week from winning. So let's see if somebody can do that.
Now I'm pissed.
Or not last week, last episode. But yeah, you're pissed. You're looking for redemption. God is here as her witness.
God is always with us.
God bless.
She's always with me because I can't get rid of her.
I'll leave. I didn't want to do this to begin with.
Wait.
Whoa.
All right, y'all. Danny, start it off.
Okay, so my movie Soul. It came out in 2020. I don't know why I wrote this. It's a really weird way of phrasing it. Newer, therefore much better animation could be and was done. The visuals of the afterlife and the depiction of New York City has never been matched in a Pixar movie. This is one of the first movies that actually showcased average human life, and I think that's you can make metaphors and stuff with other movies, and I think that's why this one's better because it just straight up says, this is what humans do, and it deals with heavy themes, existential crises, depression, creativity, and more. Is able to boil it's able to boil down all into a children's movie. So this is one of those rare movies that appeals to children and adults alike on every level. It addresses heavy topics like life, death, and the afterlife in a perfect manner for kids to understand. This movie's truly for everyone in some way. I related to it on the basis of getting what they call the zone, which is a place where you are in your element creatively, and it's pure mesmerization. It's a very interesting topic. A lot of creative people have cited that's the place they want to get to. It's kind of like a hyperfixation for ADHD people, where you're just in the zone. And I thought that was a really neat concept to include. In a kids movie, they don't need to go this deep into this topic, but they did anyway, and it's awarded very heavily for that. I gotta breathe. We got a thematic question. What is the meaning of life in a Pixar movie? Not what is my passion or what makes me feel the way I feel. No, we get the deepest philosophical question ever asked. What is my purpose in life? Obviously centered around a jazz musician, it has the best soundtrack in any Pixar movie. This is the reason it's underrated is because Disney has a terrible strategy of showing this movie to people. It dropped during the pandemic and made only about $120 million in the worldwide box office compared to, at the time I was at the time I was competing against Ratatouille. So Ratatouille got $670 million. So
wrapped up.
But yeah,
shut the fuck up. Just kidding. I love you. All right. Chris, we are going to move on to you next for your opening arguments.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
It's not that deep as much as Danny's,
All
but
right.
I'll try my best here.
All right. your time begins now.
So, I personally think Bug's Life is an underrated classic just because the fact that it still came from a time where fully animated films were still in its infancy. I mean, it was 3 years after the release of Toy Story, so it's their second film that came out. It was still a very good looking movie. I actually just watched it last night just to kind of get my brain back onto it. But what I really like about it is that it kind of jumped into something that we hadn't seen so well in computer generated. So like, for example, just the world that we have is our backyard, and the idea that like, oh, there's a whole entire world of just small itty bitty little insects living their different type of life, hence the name A Bug's Life. For the time when it came out, it was about $120 million budget, and it made about 3 times that amount back. So it definitely got a whole lot of very positive reception from reviewers and
30 seconds.
Oh, crap.
Chris, I lied. You have a minute because I accidentally gave Danny 2 minutes, so you get an extra 5 seconds, but not 30. Go.
Keep going. It was also just like, it was really forgotten after the film truly came out after it. Because like, it just, I don't know, for some odd reason it kind of disappeared. It probably might have been because of following that was Toy Story 2, and it completely overtook the rest of it. And probably one of my favorite things is about the entire quote, which you probably see a million times on Facebook, which is the Hopper scene at the bar where he's kind of like, it's like, you let one ant, stand up to us, they'll all stand up to us. It's like, it's kind of basically saying that like, there's you get stronger in numbers than just one big person. And it kind of just shows that like even the smaller type people have the power to make change to themselves just by all teaming together. So it creates kind of a more simplistic story. Yeah.
Oh, that was a good job. You got to finish your sentence.
Good job.
Thank you, God.
I don't like cutting you guys off as aggressive.
All right, so then I will be the one to cut you off.
Okay.
Well, you cut me off.
God's been fired.
God has not been fired. God's been fired from
We're
timing.
atheists.
All right, Miguel.
God.
You are up. You ready?
I was born ready.
Oh, he's born ready. All right. Your time begins now.
Now, this one might be a shock because Monsters, Inc. is not terribly underrated in terms of how everyone loves it, but it got snubbed like crazy. And you don't usually hear about it when you think of the top echelon of Pixar movies. It usually comes in like 3rd, 4th, maybe all the way up to like 8th. It's not where it deserves. It deserves to be in the top 3 easily. Now, this is why. Now, the first one, I have a lot of themes here I'm going to go through. It's more than just 1 or 2 themes in this movie. It's a ton of themes. It's several, and I'm going to get to them. First one is the friendship between Mike and Sully. This is very relatable to human lives. They live together. They have arguments. There's points in the movie where you think they might not be friends anymore, but they always get back together. They think this. They're like, nope, I got to think about this. I want my friend back, and they work it out and they solve problems. And they go through a lot of hardships. Now, the second biggest theme I've noticed in this movie was the environment. Now, this is a huge change from the friendship when it doesn't relate to each other. They're going out of power. There's a power shortage that they call a screen shortage. And it's the underlying theme throughout the entire movie, and it relates to what we do now in real world right now. In this, to continue with this, in this movie they control the information. They say that the kids are poisonous and you don't want to touch them, and it's all the control throughout fear. And this fear is causing them not to listen to new ideas, and it blocks the best idea that came out of this movie, which was the laughing. The laughs had the more powerful energy, and this is kind of related to real life where we have oil, but we could be doing better things and bigger things, but we're not, because we're being blocked by oil. And it's just, whether you agree with that or not, that's just what the underlying theme is. And it goes over the negatives of capitalism. It also goes over that some little things don't matter. It's about the big things in life. They were trying to go for the scare record. They couldn't do it. Well, they could, but they didn't end up doing it because it was more important to save Boo, because lives and people and connections are better.
All right. Good job.
So much more.
All right, everyone. So we are moving on to the rebuttal round. So just try it, but you try to just refute your claims. Make sure you don't just attack the other players.
Are you blind?
Try to defend yourself. What?
Are you blind?
Are you blind?
Wait, what? Wait, is that from? Yeah. Oh, yeah, The Quiet Place. Yeah, I remember that one. Just like you're fucking blind.
Danny,
still my tower of terror.
Danny, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, your time begins now.
All right. Starting off with Bug's Life. Bug's Life isn't even the best bug-themed movie of that year, that being Ants, and I will not explain. Animation is dog shit. Animation for Bug's Life, dog shit. It's forgettable and perfectly rated, in my opinion. So there's a PlayStation video game. It's way more interesting than the fucking movie.
No, Chris.
Oh, sorry.
Half the game, though, like, so imagine like the little amount of story that's actually being told in Bug's Life, like in the video game, half the game's just like literally finding the fucking anthill, and that was more entertaining to me than the movie. So I think the themes of Bug's Life are basically just be yourself. We're past that, and I think Soul definitely dove way more into like just a better theme overall compared to both movies. Monsters Inc. isn't even underrated. It's the most recognizable Pixar movie behind Toy Story. Boo, Sully, and Mike Wazowski are probably the most iconic characters from Pixar. It's not as good as Soul, which dives into deeper themes than Monsters Inc. Life and Death is way deeper than Fatherhood, which has been done to death by countless other movies like the MCU. And underrated means overlooked, a diamond in the rough, and Soul exemplifies that to a T because it was dumped on Disney Plus. Nobody talks about it nearly as much as they should. And I don't think... I'm not sure if Soul actually got nominated or won anything, but it didn't.
It did.
Oh, it did. Oh, well, either way, I don't think the Oscars are kind of irrelevant. I think it's more the people who know the movie when it comes to underrated, overrated, because those are the people going to see the movie. And if it's not known in the zeitgeist as much as it should be, that's underrated. So, yeah, Monsters Inc. is a good movie, but I think Soul is just so much better.
All right. Good job. Chris, you are up, my friend, and your time begins now.
Danny, I just want to say you're a turd sandwich, but I love you. Unfortunately, I haven't seen Soul, but I do know like a lot of the references that came up with it from like TikToks and their discussions on videos on it. The problem is that once again, what I've been saying is the fact that like I feel like Pixar has kind of fallen off from it because now it's like when it comes to Pixar back in the day, it was like maybe 3 to 4 years we would get a new Pixar movie, so we would get a longer space from them. I personally think that I think Soul might be something that I would enjoy, but I think the problem is with me, it's just a nostalgia factor and the fact that it proves so much of like how far we've gotten, especially back in the days with computer animation. I mean, for the most part, it's a charming movie. It's stupid. You know me. I like stupid comedies. I like stupid films. And I really, I kind of agree with you, but it's still kind of a movie that holds a place to my heart. Going back to Monsters, Inc., like what Danny said again, I think I do agree that it's a film that a lot of people do know about. It's a film that is quite iconic. It is definitely one of the second best films in the entire series. I mean, I can still say about like WALL-E or Wally or Up. But I mean, I don't really have like a lot to like rebuttal against Monsters Inc. because it is a really good movie, but it's a good movie. It's not an under the radar film. For More or Less of Souls, I don't think it's underrated just yet. I think we need to give it a few more years till we actually might see people decide to go back into it. But once again, I think the pandemic did have a bit of a negative reception on that. The fact that so many people didn't go into it, which is why it flopped at the box office. But again, it was COVID. Who was going to go into the movies during COVID? All
right. Good job, Chris. Moving on to last but certainly not least, Mr. Miguel.
No, he is the least.
Whoa.
Oh. Shots fired.
Shots fired.
It's okay.
All right, y'all.
Damn boy.
All right.
Don't worry, Miguel. I just want to say you can talk to me anytime. I won't hurt you like that.
He'll hurt you in other ways.
If you're,
all right.
Oh, yeah, definitely different ways.
All right. Your time begins now.
So actually, I think you guys accidentally proved my point that Monsters Inc. is an underrated movie because you guys are sitting here saying, oh, how could it be underrated? It's one of the top movies. The characters are recognizable. I had a very difficult time finding this in the top charts. Many people had this ranked in the teens for their Pixar movies. The only website I could find that even had this in the top 5 was Polygon. No one seems to agree with you guys, at least on the internet. And so it's funny to hear you guys say, how is this underrated? It's so good. And that is exactly the point. The point is it's so good, and yet critics and on the internet, obviously the internet is the internet, but us personally speaking here are saying it's top like 2, 5, whatever you guys are saying. To go with the soul aspect, I watched it. It was all right. I mean, it had one giant underlying thing. I do see what you're saying. There was a lot of minor themes of depression, anxiety, and all that, but it was just one giant theme of living your life, and it was kind of sad. It was just one about a sad man who didn't know how to appreciate life, and it made me sad. And that's not what Pixar is here for. Pixar's here to make me happy. I was not excited to be sad for half that movie before you realize, oh my God, life is actually awesome. It's like, yeah, appreciate it. Anyways, Bug's Life, I'm not going to go into that too much more. I think Dan kind of ripped that one a new one. So I'm going to let that one, let that one go. But Soul was about, you were right, it was like an everyday, it's most relatable because it's everyday life. But we go to the movies not for that. We go to the movies to escape everyday life. And this was just reminding us exactly what everyday life was.
30.
You said 30 seconds?
Yeah, 30. Yeah, 30.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Bug's Life, a little bit, just, I had one remark here. It disappeared because it wasn't very memorable. I actually watched it right before we came here, and I was like, I got 3/4 through the way, and I actually shut it off. I just didn't want to watch that.
Chris is so hurt.
I'm so sorry. And the one last thing with Monsters, Inc. is I think the references in it are very underrated. Apparently Pixar doesn't like doing them anymore. I don't know why. Like, why don't we have, like, references to Encanto or even, like, Onward? Or
Wrap it up. No,
Yeah,
you
that's
can
good.
finish the sentence.
All right, like Monsters Inc. had references to all the movies that were around it, and the small things are very underrated.
All right. Let's check in with God and see where she is at right now. So, what are you thinking there, God?
I was raised that if you don't have anything nice to say, to not say anything at all.
That's a shot at me.
No, you
Have fun
fucking
have
word.
fun in your closing remarks.
Who taught you that, God?
I'm just saying you all suck right now.
All right, y'all.
It's nothing personal to anybody, but
What are we tearing down all your favorite movies?
Screw you, Yahweh.
All right, y'all. We are moving into our final round here. It's a free for all. You guys just go at it, just until we basically cut y'all off. So,
Danny, you
Go for
stink. Okay.
No
You
ad
smell-
hominem
You
attacks.
can borrow some cologne.
As I said before, I think it's also a generational thing. Like specifically with Monsters Inc. I think today's generation probably will not remember it, but because the fact that I was 6 years old when I saw Monsters Inc. Like it's still embroidered into my head of that movie, and I love the hell out of it. I like Bug's Life just because, once again, I'm a nostalgia guy. I like stuff from the older days. I think it's just more fun. But I think what Miguel said before was the fact that I'm not going to a movie to feel depressed. If I want to go see something depressing, I'll go on I don't know, some YouTube rant about their friendship or something like that. I think that's the thing, and I even enjoy Bug's Life, I mean, it's stupid. That's the point. But I'm always a fan. Two things I like is nostalgia and then things that are super small. Like the idea of you're just opening a different world to it. And the fact of look, this bar is built out of a can of soup and they're all drinking water droplets. I just kind of like the world building on that.
But the thing is, though, a lot of what you're saying is just more subjective. You're saying I like this, I like that. It's not necessarily I think the better barometer is for people who actually go not just you, the rest of the people that watching it. And I think Bug's Life forgotten because it doesn't really, it might have been really good for the time that it came out, but it's not
Technically, you mean?
Again,
technically,
it is the
and maybe
second Pixar film that they ever made as well. So you also have to kind of put into account of that.
right. But Toy Story is miles ahead though, and that came right before it in '95. So, and again, Ants. But
yeah, but Ants was more adult oriented, way more adult oriented.
we're not here to talk about ants.
Ant-Man should have done it.
he should have. They addressed that.
Is crap.
But yeah, Soul, I hear what you're saying about the whole the depression thing, but this movie, kind of how I was talking about with Avatar: Last Airbender, it applies to every level.
Comparing Soul to Avatar.
No, listen.
Wait, which Avatar?
The Last
Good
Airbender.
one.
Okay.
It appeals to all levels of all ages, and so kids aren't going to really understand too many of the themes, but they're still going to get a good story, a buddy comedy between the main character and Joe and the spirit. I forgot
22.
the name. 22. You have a good story there with them, but then also when you're, I mean, we can all agree. Like I think like around teenagers to 25, 30,
they're gonna apply to
they
the most.
experience
Mental.
stuff, depression mostly, and they're gonna get that. And they're gonna be like so relatable, and it's kind of like how like
Soul relatable.
Okay. It's kind of like how Inside was like so depressing the entire time, but it was still considered comedy,
We can
right?
do that at a different time.
Whatever. But that's my point, though. That like it appeals to them, and then the adults can get the commentary of
Real quick, Chris.
life and
Yeah.
death.
I get the whole like 22 and Joe being good friends and whatnot, but I mean that's done in almost every single Disney movie. I mean, Finding Nemo had Dory and Marlin. Obviously, Monsters Inc. had My Duo. We had, well, I guess he was by himself in that movie. Flick was a flick. But anyways, that was, I don't know.
Did Flick have like the little caterpillar?
he had, like,
Oh, Dot.
Dot was like
little
his
tiny
sidekick.
purple ant girl.
Yeah, the princess, yeah. Or I don't know what's after
Yes, princess.
Yeah.
But anyways, continue what you're going to say, Chris.
No, I'm just also thinking like a problem, like I think with Soul is the fact that it also came out at a really bad time during COVID because it's like, oh, life is already depressing. Why am I going to watch a movie about some guy dying? You know, and I even kind of, I mean, I guess maybe not be the best example of it, but it's just like, I think once again, it comes from the idea that I feel like kind of Pixar's been making too many movies, and I feel like they, like especially it's going to be one that's going to be forgotten because there's already, you got what's the other ones that have come out, like Turning Red, and what was the Italian one I always forget? Luca, thank you. I couldn't get it out of my head. Yeah, like Luca, like all those were released in like this span of like every year. So I think the problem is like there's too many of numbers where you can't really retain one that's the most memorable.
Right.
The best way is like.
But what I'm saying, like with Soul, is diamond in the rough. There's so much rough with so much content coming out, but Soul is the diamond. Don't try to twist my word. Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so Monsters Inc. is so iconic. Everyone knows it. Everyone loves it.
I don't think Soul's underrated because anyone who did watch it was like, they didn't recommend it to people. That's why it didn't spread. Because people would have watched it either way. We were in the middle of a pandemic where we got shut inside and they still didn't watch it.
It wasn't on Disney Plus. It was only in theaters.
Well, even when it came to Disney Plus, it doesn't sound like it did very hot.
Yeah, because the main spark of it was snuffed out by Disney because they did a horrible marketing strategy with it.
I mean, I still don't think it was underrated though. I mean,
it's not the movie's fault. And like
in the end of the movie, when he finally gets his dream that he's been fighting for the entire movie, and the reason why he's had like such a not adventurous life, he goes, actually no, this isn't that good anymore. Like literally the entire movie is about how life.
You missed the point of the movie.
I mean,
the whole point is to find meaning in life, not be focused on your.
Right, but that would be, you didn't really learn that
I get where Miguel's coming from.
What?
Like, but like you just said, like, but it's like you just don't get it. It was like, well, you need to find something that gets the entire audience. It's only just a handful of people that'll remember it, or like there's only going to be a handful of people that are totally going to get it. Then it's just failed because you only hit a specific market.
I didn't even know it came out until you told me that was your movie, and I was like, what is this movie? And I had to watch it, and I was like, I mean, it was a decent movie, but it was another classic cliched Disney movie.
I can't believe you guys.
I know the only
you guys
thing
hurt my feelings.
The only thing
I don't mean to. I'm sorry.
The only thing I remember was didn't they reference Kobe in it?
They referenced the Knicks, and they were
Knicks.
like, "Oh,
yeah,
I make them
the
lose
Knicks.
every single time," and then she shoots like the basketball away right at the
That's
score.
the only redeeming thing, and a few other little references that I completely forgot. But other than that, that was it.
The fact still remains, though, that the movie has something to say.
Mm-hmm.
A Bug's Life barely has that. Monsters Inc. has
but then
something.
many themes. Many themes.
Still comes up on YouTube videos.
Yeah, you're taking quite a few leaps with all the commentary that you're finding.
What do you mean?
Like with the whole criticizing. Oh, so something about oil. What was that?
Okay. So
oil, like
the environment. They what we do today is we're very kind of like stuck on this whole oil thing, and because of that, we're not going to move off, but we're not going to think about anything else. And what I'm saying is that they were blocked by even having a new idea because Mr. Waternoose's greed, and he was like, we're going to squeeze every ounce of scare we can until we can't get any more. Just like today, we're squeezing every ounce of oil we possibly can until we can't get any more, without even looking past and going, oh wait, we actually have a great idea here. Let's use laughs instead. But they were so focused and so fixated on that one energy source, which for them was scare and for us it's oil, that they couldn't even look past it and get new or even like try to think of greater and better ideas. Instead, they were taking all their resources and reinvesting it in the same resource. But
I don't think in the film it was that explained enough where like
it's a kid's film, they can't.
It was like I understand, but it never like really like when Boo started laughing the first time and like the lights blew out, they're like, let's not do that again.
Well, it's because they didn't know either.
Oh my God, that's the newest way to like, there was never like until like the last 5 minutes of the movie, because once again, the whole entire movie was just focused on was the relationship between Sully and Blue.
Well, that's what for kids it is, but for everyone else watching it who actually understands all the other themes going along, they're seeing the other 17 themes. That's an exaggeration, more like 7. That is going on throughout the entire movie.
I mean, I guess, like they do kind of focus on the corruption, like, near the end. But again, it's like, it's even for me, I just never, I understood it, but it wasn't enough for me to really like focus that part of the plot.
I think it also has one of the best themes the Soul has too, is waking up and realizing the 9 to 5, the grind. Because when he scares Boo and he looks up and he sees his face and he's like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm pretty sure that exact quote is something that Joe says in the movie. He literally goes, oh my God, what am I doing with my life, or something like that. And so that's just another theme that Monsters, Inc. has. It's not even one of their main themes that is the same level as Soul.
I don't know.
And it doesn't get as much it only won 1 award. And it was for that song. That one song. That was all it won. Monsters, Inc. And
but the awards are antiquated. They don't mean anything.
Shrek came out that year, so that's why.
Wait, and it still won the song
Shrek
even
is
after
love, they
All Star?
Yeah.
Shrek is love.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, it won. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Everyone knows Monsters, Inc. That's the only thing I just keep coming back to.
Yeah, that's my only issue.
Well, no,
nobody.
Saying, no, everyone knows it, but everyone's like, oh yeah, 5, 6, 7 up. Literally, I was having
So you think it's so good that it should be
better? For context, I came in here thinking we were arguing the best Pixar movie, but when I tried finding data to support that it was the best, I was actually having trouble. I was having a lot of trouble trying to find how it was the best, because everyone had, oh yeah, it's a great one. It's there. It's like, that's great, but no, it's one of the tops, and that is where I had a very hard time trying to find anything on it. It was very disturbing for me.
Toy Story was always going to overtake it.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I mean, Toy Story is Toy Story, of course, but they had like Cars 1 up there, not 2 or 3, but 2 was definitely up there.
I also
they had Wall-E was up there always. Soul was ahead of them in a lot.
We are going to wrap this up.
Oh, I got one
Finding
more
Nemo,
point.
of course.
All right, Danny, you can say your last point.
All right, so I think the Monsters, Inc. legacy got kind of tainted with Monsters University, because it just goes back on all those themes that I guess are there.
Well, it's a prequel.
Yeah, but it takes away from the legacy of that movie. Soul is like a perfect wrapped story about life and death philosophy.
I would argue Monsters University is a solid movie, but definitely felt a little bit like a cash grab.
Yeah, and that's why I think it makes the first one seem cheaper now.
But it's not about Monsters University. We're talking about how underrated.
Right, but it shows you that it was so popular that it got a sequel.
You got 1 sequel.
Yeah, and then they
One
fucked it
prequel.
up. They fucked it up so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took them so long to do it, though.
All right, guys. All right. So we have come to an agreement, I believe, on who our winner is.
Chris.
I wish.
Okay.
I vote Chris.
The winner is, drum roll, please.
Not Miguel.
I figured.
Ooh.
Whoa, what?
I was being too mean.
Okay, you know
There's
what?
no
Here,
way.
I'm gonna take a little bit of this. Being honest, this episode was really hard for me. I just didn't think that. Let's talk to you all for a little bit. Miguel, I just generally don't think that Monsters, Inc. is underrated in any way whatsoever.
Critics do. I don't know why.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Critics
Everyone-
aren't the people.
Nobody in the room agrees with you.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. We all agree it should be higher.
Yeah, but like the critic,
Like I'm saying, the general public.
yeah,
think it's good to
we are. I guess we're in this scenario. She's saying we're the general public.
Right.
Thinking
You would think the
coworkers,
general
thinking
public,
people
though,
here.
if you let on the internet, you would see a lot more people that would say it was the best.
But that's why Rotten Tomatoes has like the audience score and then the critic score.
Yeah, the
and
audience
score is always completely different than the critics.
In my opinion, the audience's score is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
So
Anyway, moving along, Danny, when we started this, Dan said, "Hey, don't attack each other before the rebuttal," and then you walked in swinging,
Straight up attacking the whole time.
That's gross. Don't do that. I don't like that shit.
Wait, about what? What did I say? I didn't make any ad
Bugs
hominem
Life is
attacks.
stupid. It's bad.
Well, he
The
didn't- he
video
wasn't-
Your
game's more
movie is
interesting than the
stupid and
movie.
bad.
He
That's
wasn't
what I'm
calling
saying.
Chris stupid and bad.
No,
though.
but I'm saying you can't argue that your movie is better by just shitting on everybody else's movie. That's
Well,
not
you
how
have
this
to make
works.
points against the other person.
No, I know,
we
but
can
you
tone it
don't
down for the
need to
future. I
relentlessly
can see
shit on
it.
them.
I can see it, actually.
But-
We'll turn down for the future, though.
So what I'm now to Christopher. Christopher,
I said Ashley.
dear, my
Uh-oh.
darling,
Gotta cut it out then.
hype up your own movie. Stop hyping up everybody else's movie. I feel like you did more work for their movies than you did for yours.
Yeah, Chris. I
Because
was
I
like,
kind of felt like Bugs Life was kind of a falling grace at that point.
Honestly, I expected somebody to pick Bugs Life going into this. It is my brother, like one of my brother's favorite Pixar movies. It's
Michael,
definitely
where
up
are
there.
you?
On
He's
the
actually
list.
in the studio.
Yeah, Michael and I
Hi,
have been making
Michael.
faces at each other the entire time. But Chris, you really just did more work for everyone else's movie than you did for your own.
I did
and I'd
that
love
too,
to have you back on the show again because I think you did a good job. You just gotta hype yourself up more and be a little louder and be a little more.
Chris is like me. Like it's hard to argue because you're probably the same type as me. You're like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm not gonna argue about it. I'll just.
Yeah.
I think just also the problem for me is that like I'm such a nostalgia nerd that like when it comes to that stuff, like the early days of Pixar was probably some of my personal favorite movies of all time with like Toy Story, Bugs Life, Monsters Inc., and Finding Nemo. Like during that time span of like the late 90s into the early 2000s, I mean, it was just like amazing film after amazing film after amazing film, and those are the
Banger
ones that
after
people remember
banger.
the most.
Yeah.
But then it feels like it's like even though like Bugs Life did do really well, again, I thought of it as sort of underrated because the fact it was really forgotten, even though it did have a really good reception as being like a charming, fun movie. And at that time, even during those earliest days, like what I explained with Miguel, is that a lot of people didn't really catch on to like the hidden meanings of that because they were still so early with just doing the world building and the story and getting straight to the plot. And people over time started to realize about like some of the hidden quotes, like the one about like, you know, the power in numbers or the fact of like, you know, in Monsters Inc.
Everything that Chris said just there makes me prove that Miguel is not our winner because he's saying that Bugs Life was old and it was really just forgotten with the test of time. And Monsters Inc. is the opposite because Monsters Inc. at this point is also pretty old, but nobody forgets Monsters Inc. Whether you think it's a number one or not, Miguel, you can go on about your critics saying it's low on the list. Nobody's ever going to forget Monsters Inc.
Hey, no, I thought we were not attacking the person.
Yeah, what the?
Okay, anyway, moving on. I'm God.
We can attack you all we want.
I can send you guys to hell personally.
We're God.
But anyway,
I get to go to hell.
finally wrapping this up here because God is still talking for once this episode. We have to pick a winner. And although it was a little hard just because I didn't really think anybody was a clear winner in this one, I'm going to go with Danny because I think Miguel made one very good point that brought me back to a couple episodes ago where you were saying, I texted Dan the quote.
Did you?
Yeah, because
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
Danny
I'm
was
just kidding.
talking.
Oh, she did.
Danny was talking about themes and whatnot, and he's talking about how like themes got across well or whatever. And Miguel, you said something along the lines of, "Oh, it's a kids' film. It can't have good themes. Like it's
What I said is it has to be hidden in the kids' film. Because they can't just because Chris was like, oh, well, they didn't make it obvious. Well, they can't because that's not how kids' films work. It's supposed to be sprinkled in there and then you pick it up because it's a kids' film. It's supposed to be.
Yeah, you want to like lecture the kids, right?
But also, it brought me back to episode 2, was it? Where we talked about the best TV show that grew with you.
Yeah.
And remind me a lot of Avatar, because I feel like Soul is going to be very similar to Avatar The Last Airbender, where the longer you age, it's just another kind of fine wine thing. Because every time you come back to it, it's going to be better and it's going to mean more. I know a handful of people who saw Soul and absolutely loved it, but the amount of people I know who have seen it, period, is very few, but I do know that everyone who has seen it has loved it, which is why I think that it's very underrated because it definitely got overshadowed by everything going on. And if there was better hype kind of building up for it, I think it would have had a better shot.
Yeah. And
Cool.
everyone but Chris has seen Soul apparently. But I definitely suggest
I don't
you
blame
go
anyone
watch
for not
Chris.
watching it,
You
man.
go watch it, Chris. I definitely suggest
No,
it.
it's definitely worth a watch. I don't think it's underrated.
Yeah.
Yo, I legit thought you were gonna win that one because I'm
I
like,
didn't. I knew as soon as I came in here and you guys were like, yeah, it's almost underrated. I was like, fuck me.
I thought you did a really good job like arguing.
I
there,
tried.
like, yeah.
That's why I said I'm like, I got an idea. I'm gonna go with it. I
think-
don't think I'm gonna win,
Well,
but it'll work.
Yeah, because when you start diving into like the themes, I'm like, because I wanted to compliment you and be like, wow, I didn't get that. And was like,
with Soul, I was trying to do the same thing. I was like, get our argument.
All right, everyone. We are wrapping up this episode. If you guys liked this Duel of the Debates, make sure to like and subscribe to us. Having a great time here. Danny, is there anything else you want to add?
Love you, Danny.
no, I love you too.
War Town.
We're town.
War Town.
Four town.
Yep. Turning. Oh no, it's not turning.
Oh right, yeah. Never had nobody. I watched that movie when I was like 9 beers deep.
Nice.
I was drunk. It was a good watch.
We gotta do like a drunk one on that one.
Yeah, well, bring back movie drinks and stuff. Yeah. But anyway, I'm Danny. You can find me on Instagram at Danny_Was, my letterbox at DJ Was, or my YouTube channel, which is just Danny Was. Miguel, would you like to plug anything?
Yeah, you can find me at pretty much most social medias with Miggy Azalea. Good luck finding it. Whatever. Anyways, I also have a YouTube channel. It's a little bit on the idle right now because my brother's living with me, so it's hard to record. But it's LionBlaze321. I also have a second one that I once in a while post on called Social. It's like Psy, like psych, and then Oshal, like social. But never mind. It's okay. Continue, Chris.
I have nothing. I don't give out any social
I love you,
media
Chris.
information.
He doesn't put out, guys. He doesn't put out. All right.
I've
So.
been thinking about it.
Putting out?
All right. Well, with that, thank you for watching as usual, and we'll see y'all next time.